Hello everybody, welcome back to Hof Bergmann. Today we're going to take a look at the differences between version 1.1.0.1, which was the previously released version, and version 1.2, which was just updated relatively recently. If this is your first time taking a look at Hof Bergmann, I do suggest you go check out my map tour video of version 1.0 for Farming Simulator 22, as it will cover the basis of the map, and a lot of the things that we are not going to talk about today are going to be covered in that, as well as my Hof Bergmann Explained video series that is also going to be linked down in the description below. Lastly, if you are looking to download the map and you've never downloaded Hof Bergmann before, once again, back in my map tour video, toward the start, I do cover how to download the map, and then I also cover how to extract the map, because it's a little bit different than maybe what you're used to as far as maps coming from Farming Simulator or maps coming from other third-party sites like itch.io. Now, before we get started, this video is brought to you by UTB and Chad Bergman. Thank you for being farm barons. So I kind of thought it was appropriate. Chad Bergman was sponsoring the map of Hof Bergmann. Right? I mean, how can you go wrong there? Anyway, let's go ahead and finish up our little bit of breakfast and head outside. So we start here at the main farm. This is where we start our career start point. And before we get dived into too many things, I want to talk about what's different with respect to the mod pack. Because when you download this mod, or this map, there are several additional mods that are included. One of those is going to be an updated precision farming. This precision farming mod has been modified to work with compost. Compost is included with the map, and this is an updated version of precision farming from March 14th, 2023. So it is a very recent copy of precision farming. Again, if you are going to play with precision farming and this map, it is highly suggested that you make use of this modified version. Also, if you happen to have the Gouville DLC, there is a Gouville field type extension mod that is included, and it is going to allow you to make use of the Gouville pack on this map, because this map has some additional bale types, and they have been added to the Gouville pack with the use of this extension. In fact, you can also bale wood chips, pig food, and manure. We're going to go into a little bit more details on those a little bit later, but I did want to also mention that. Now, just some general notes about Hof Bergmann. Maize Plus is listed as being not supported on the map. Pumps and hoses is supported, but you may find that the bedding fill plane is not properly displayed if you're using separated manure. The Platinum DLC production items are not supported on the map because there are no sell points according to the DLC listing, or according to the changelog of the map. But again, you can obviously put down your own information for that. Now, at the starting farm, we have our farmhouse. You can see our garage has changed somewhat, and that is because we have now the addition of a little garden at our little farm. So we can grow tomatoes, lettuce, strawberries, cucumbers, cauliflowers, and onions. If you are familiar with the community garden, then this garden is just like that. Right beside that, we have now the addition of rabbits. So we can buy male rabbits, and this pen will hold up to 100. So let's go ahead and just get 5 of each. We have male rabbits, we have female rabbits, and we have little rabbit cubs. And there they are. There you got your rabbits. Our food area for our rabbits are going to be right here, and the rabbits are going to eat 60% hay, and then 40% is going to be made up of either lettuce or apples. This is the only location where we're going to find rabbits on the map. Other changes to the main farm. There used to be a straw blower here to store bulk straw. That has been removed because, well, it's been placed over here. This is where the brewery used to be located. The brewery has now been moved to its own distinct area, and we have a new barn here for the purpose of holding loose straw. So we have our dump point here to then blow straw into the attic. And then inside the shed, we have our straw output located right there. This is also a great place to store bales, should you so wish. And I want to show you another little interesting thing going on here. Let's hit set up our ladder. What? That's right. And now we can climb our ladder. And we can open this. And basically, as our straw goes into here, we will have a fill plane that'll come up here. So that's kind of a fun little toy. And we can put the ladder back. Our pig area is mostly the same with respect to our pigs, feeding troughs and such, but the area above the pig area has been modified a wee little bit. Remember from version 1.1, we can put bales up there. We have bale storage. But getting bales up to that storage point was a little bit of a problem. I mean, use of a telehandler would work. But now we have a crane. So let me show you how this is going to work. Let's open the door, jump down real quick, and right here, the side, we can get our control box. And then with our control box, we have the ability to basically bring our crane out. We can lower it down. We can rotate it. We can use a strap. We can lift it up. And put it back. And we'll just go right here. We'll just drop it. And there you go. So that is how we can basically put the things into this area for bale storage. We can place bales here. We can use our winch crane to go down, pick them up with straps, and then put them away. And then as far as getting bales out, we're going to be able to use the trap door over here on the left, like we did in the previous version, and the bales will spawn and fall through the trap door. We have also the introduction of a smoker. So we have fishing. Fishing has been added. We're going to cover fishing in a little bit, but here at the starting farm and over at a secondary farm, we now have the ability to process the fish we gather and to make them smoked fish. So we're going to come up here and we're going to be able to open the bottom door. We're going to then be able to open the smokehouse door, and we're going to be able to turn on the smoker. But what we're going to need is we're going to need some wood chips to put in the bottom of this. Now, we can, of course, buy bags of wood chips at the shop, but we could also now make our own wood chips in small productions using this little wood chipper that is now here at the starting farm. And we can enter this, we can turn it on, and we can place little logs here, little bits of wood, and then it will output the wood chips here on the side. We are then going to be able to come through here with a wheelbarrow, pick those up, and put them into the smokehouse. Other changes with 1.2 is the addition of a hose system on the map. And the hose system is more akin to dynamic hoses from Farming Simulator 17. Anybody that's played Farm Sim 17 maybe had some experience with dynamic hoses if you were on PC, and that is basically what we have on this map. With compatible trailers, and the LSFM trailer pack is part of the compatible trailers. If you come up to a liquid fill area, because like this is where the milk fill area has been moved. So it used to be that the milk trigger was inside of here, but now you can see it has been piped out to the side of the building. So you can come over here with a corresponding trailer that is working with the hose system that is built into the map and into the trailer. And when you go to fill, a hose will dynamically appear between the nozzle here and the nozzle on the trailer. And we're going to find that scattered around the map for various liquid fill types that are going to encompass gas, methane, milk, water. If it's a liquid, then it's going to be able to work with that. Something else that has changed is the addition of a little milk taxi. And the milk taxi we're going to be able to enter. We can lift the lid. We can turn it on. See a little stir in there. Just stirring away. And this is electric powered. And we're going to be able to basically come around here, fill it, and we can output one of two ways. We can output out the side using this spigot here, or we can output out the front using the front spigot. But that has been added, and the reason that's been added is this is going to be useful with respect to feeding our calves in the calf igloos that are going to be on the other side of this animal building. Also, at that calving area, there used to be a small area for small square bales to be stacked. That has now had a building or a little roof added to the top of that. I'm going to take a look at that here in a moment. So here we have our calf igloos. We got a little shed now over top of our bale storage. And we also start with significantly less bales than we had before. Two new crops have been added to the 1.2 update, clover and silphile. Now, silphile, if you played this map in Farm Sim 19, you may remember was a new crop added kind of toward the last of the run for Farm Sim 19. And silphile is a forage style crop. It's going to be a plant once, harvest many. You're going to use a forage harvester, and specifically, you are going to be chopping that for the purpose of making silage. It's going to have a very high yield, similar to corn. In addition to silphile, we have clover. Clover has been added to the map and is able to be used as food for your cows. We can sell clover down at the feed trade. We can also use clover at the BGA for making silage. Clover is compostable, and clover can be dumped into a silage bunker just like grass can. Now, let's go and just take a look at a couple of the growth stages of silphile. We have our initial growth stage right here, and the way we're going to plant silphile is we're going to be using a new planting technique. Under mods and DLCs, let's go to Hof Bergmann, and what we're going to find is we're going to have a pallet of silphile seedlings, 500 seedlings in this pallet. And the way we're going to plant this is we're going to make use of a new planting technique with the Grimmy PM300. You can see it has been configured to plant silphile. We're going to take and put the seedlings into this, and then we're going to use this to plant those seedlings into the ground. What we're seeing here is the ready to harvest stage, which pretty much looks identical to the last growth stage as well. This is a very tall flowering plant, has yellow flowers toward the top. It's maybe similar in height to sunflowers and maybe possibly a little bit shorter than corn itself. And like I said, we're going to use a forage harvester to harvest this. We're going to chop it into chaff, if you will. Then we're going to be able to use that in a silage bunker. We're going to be able to use that down at the BGA. We're going to be able to use that in our fermenter to produce silage for our cows. And it's going to be a plant once and harvest many crop. Very, very similar to not corn, but to grass, where we plant grass once and we just continually harvest it. We never have to plant it again. brewery had been removed from the main farm. It has been moved slightly out of the farm into the small town where the farm is located, just to the left of the bakery. So here we have our brewery. So this way, if we are playing this map in multiplayer, someone who does not own the main farm, that's right, there is now a second farm on Hof Bergmann. Someone who doesn't necessarily own the main farm can now operate the brewery. Let me show you where this is on the PDA. So here we have our main farm. We have our farmhouse. Then we have our community garden. We have our cats. We have our rabbits. And this is where the brewery used to be located, but now it is right down the road. We have our bakery, and then we have the brewery located right here, kind of on the other side of the sheep and goat pen. To the left, we have a malt grist silo. If we make malt grist from the grain mill, we're going to be able to buy and bring bulk malt grist here and put it into the silo. Or if we just want to bring malt in small bags, we can process that with this small malt grist mill. And then using our wheelbarrow, put it into the first process of the brewery. This is where we're going to output our malt grist silo. Now, overall, the brewing process is pretty much the same as it was in the previous iteration. We're going to put our malt grist and water into here. We're then going to cook that. We're going to set it to distribute so that the pipe will be added. Then we're going to move it down to this point, and we're just going to keep moving it down the process until we basically have green beer. So let's take a look at the production screen and just kind of refresh ourselves on that entire process. So we have our mash tun where we're going to bring malt grist and water. We're going to turn it into mash. We're then going to take our mash and process that into wort. Then we're going to have some spent grains as a byproduct of that. Our wort is going to be added to hops where we're going to get cast off wort. The cast off wort is then going to go into our fermentation process where we're going to add yeast and we're going to get green beer. We're then going to take the green beer and place that into our maturation area where the green beer is going to mature into regular beer. And that is all going to be done right here. We can once again still buy kegs or barrels and put this into our beer into those. Now the capacity of those kegs has been reduced from 100 liters down to 50. So we will need twice as many kegs to transport our beer as we did previously. But that is not where the process stops. Now we can further process our beer into bottles. Let's go show you where that is going to happen. As you can see, we have now a pipe all the way around. We also have the addition of these new cool little flatbeds into this building. And this is where we are going to do our bottling. Now, we will be having a follow-up video where we'll be talking about the changes to the brewery process. So we're not going to go into a whole lot of details here, but our beer is now going to come into these holding tanks. We're then going to clean our bottles through this production line. We're going to be able to bottle our beer, and our beer's either going to come out into cases or onto crates. In addition to those small little flatbeds, we now have a new cool little electric vehicle that we can use to motor around on the map at various farms or production facilities. And this is exactly what these little flatbed trailers have been made to do. Just like that. While we're talking about that, let's just go ahead and come back here to our mods and DLC screen and talk about what is new with respect to the custom items that are part of the map. We've had hop bales, we have brewing yeast, we can buy the wood chip sack, as I've said earlier. We've got various things of storing products and storing water. Our beer keg, as I said, has been changed from 100 liters to 50 liters. We now also have a custom store camera. This is the new shop that is down at the shop area that has been modified. We now also have a transport box for transporting smoked fish. So we're going to need this when we smoke our fish. We have our Silphile seedlings, which we've already talked about. The mobile milk parlor has been modified to also work with the hose system. We have our small transport cart, $650. Motorboat with trailer, and we're going to be needing to use this in order to actually go fishing. More on that in a wee little bit when we get over to the lake. We have our e-mule. This is our electric kind of cart. And then we've already talked about the PM300, the Silphile planter. So the old shop was located basically in this general area, and that has now been completely reworked. We have a new sell point in the Riefenstein Market. I know butchered it. I know it did. And then we also have a second farm also located at this point. Then across the street from that, we have our new machine shop. Inside, we have our trigger for our shop. And then we also then have our maintenance dealer trigger. Down at the shop, we have a large Manitou forklift. And then across the street, we might as well go ahead and take a look at our new secondary farm. So this map could be used in multiplayer either as a community farm or with two people or two groups of people operating two independent farms. You will, of course, need to buy this land, and once you do, you'll have your own farmhouse with sleep trigger. We'll have a chicken coop. It's going to hold 50 chickens. There are two small garden plots here at this secondary farm. And then we have a sheep and goat pasture located right here. 100 sheep, 100 goats. We have our water trigger, our food trough, and then our goat milk tank right there. Just kind of like the sheep and goat area that is over across the street from the main farm. As far as other items here at this new secondary farm, we've got some vehicle and implement storage. We have a second fish smoker, just like the one at the main farm. We have a farm silo. We have a hay storage loft. So we have our dump point and our fill point there. We also have a second pig area. So 60 pigs at the second farm. We have our food trough in here as well as our straw trigger. Our slurry point is going to be over there. And that is pretty much what's going on here at the new second farm. Just run around here quick to the new sell point.
Servus.
We have our sales guy. We've got a couple of sell triggers over here for various products. In fact, let's just go ahead and take a look at our prices screen. And this is where I really wish we had the ability to sort by sell point as opposed to being forced to show the products. Because what I would really love to do is show you specifically what is going to be available for sale at the Rathstein market. We also have a pulp factory that has been added to the map for the purpose of processing and selling wood chips, as well as chopped silphile. To the main farm, or just past the main farm a little bit. You're going to see here we have the main farm again. This is going to be our sheep and goat area. We have our horse paddock directly behind us. And we've got this little dip. We've got the road, and then we've got a little kind of drainage here where we have a little dip. And now we have the ability to construct a bridge. What we're going to do is we're going to come up here to this icon. We're going to say build construction site. And once we click that, we're going to get a little kind of construction container with some blueprints. The blueprints are going to tell us that we're going to need to bring planks and logs to the construction site. And once we bring planks and logs to the construction site, right there, then construction is going to begin on a little bridge that is going to allow us to bridge this little drainage ditch. So thank you, Silver Run Forest Platinum Expansion DLC, for the introduction of the ability to build things, and that has been added to Hof Bergmann version 1.2. We have the ability to unload off of a log trailer. We have the log sell point here, our sell trigger, to put it into the sawmill. We have our wood sell icon. On the other side of the building, we then have our wood chip point. We have our interactive icon here. We have the ability to produce short boards, long boards, beams, and log frames. 10-meter long log frames in particular. We also then have 3 of these small little trailers. Another one of our little electric mules. It's also located here. Then we have, independent of the sawmill, we have a log cell trigger located over here at this stack. We have our wood cell icon, and then the log cell trigger is going to be located there. And if we want to or need to simply purchase lumber, we can come over here to this guy.
Servus.
And again, just like the Platinum Expansion Sawmill, we have the ability to buy short boards, long boards, beams, or logs. Now, let's go ahead and just buy a log, because I want to show you what happens. We have the ability to buy kind of manufactured logs. And if we buy a manufactured log, we're going to get a 10-meter long log in a little bit of a metal frame. This metal frame would allow us to then use something like the Manitou forklift to pick this up and put it onto a trailer. In the town to the northwest, we now also have a cattle breeding area that has been set up. Before you get too excited, no bull juice, but we do have cattle breeding. That is going to be located here just behind field 26 or just south of field 27 or 28. You will need to buy this area. This is going to be farmland 39. It's going to be able to be bought for $245,000. Once we are in here, we have our slurry point. We can do 300 cows in this facility. And we have our cow area specifically. Our food trough, our straw triggers are going to be located inside of here. Got a nice shed over there where we can store bales, machinery, or other products. Also a couple areas where we could just dump loose material into those. Those are not silage bunkers, though. We have our milk trigger. We happen to have cows over here that are making milk. And this is a feeding robot area. So if we don't want to feed manually, we can use the feeding robot. The dump points for the robot are located over here. We have our manure heap. And that is pretty much the cow breeding area. And just down from the cow breeding area, we have our pub. And at the pub, we now have some things that have been modified. Remember, we have the beer bottling. We now have spawning back here pallets of kind of empty beer bottles. And these will just spawn over time. What we can do is we can come collect these and then take them to our beer bottling plant where we'll be able to wash them and reuse them. In addition, we can come to the back door of our pub and, well, maybe slip a little money under the door here, and we can buy ourselves a box of beer, $32. We could also buy Hollner Special, kind of a case of that, $14. And we're then going to be able to basically do whatever we want with this. It's more of a role play and just fun little thing. We could come over here and sell it. Well, not that. But we could sell the beer here. And most likely lose money. Yeah. Bought it for 34, we just sold it for 28. Not that good of a deal. Pulp factory has been added. We can see that located right here. That is right next to the land market. We have our grain mill. We have our gas station. Our animal dealer is just to the north of that. And then our contract filler or our wine and beer bottler that we had previously is going to be located down here by field 17. This is not a production point. This is simply a sell point. And this is going to be a sell point for wood chips as well as chopped silphile. So we take a look at our prices screen. You'll see wood chips. We have the pulp factory. And then as we come down here to our chopped silphile, we also have that at the pulp factory. We again have clover, smoked fish, and regular fish. We have beer in boxes and pallets or beer in kegs. Compost. We have our rabbit meat. We have poultry meat. We have goat and sheep meat, beef, pork meat. All of that's going to be processed at the butcher. We have our cucumbers, cauliflowers, onions, and apples. Our goat cheese, our goat milk. We had red wine, grape juice. All of those fabulous productions that we had in 1.1. I want to talk once again about the Gouville add-on script. The Gouville add-on script is going to allow you to make clover bales. It's going to allow you to make silphile chopped silage bales. It's going to allow you to bale compost, pig food, wood chips, and manure with the Gouville DLC. So to fish, we're going to need a few things. First, we're going to need a pickup truck. Second, we're going to need a boat. And third, we're going to need a lake. So we have our boat. We can go and configure this up however we want. down at the lake, if we go to lands, you will see that we now have little spots. These are all fishing holes. So we can go and buy a fishing hole for $518. Different amounts of money for different sized fishing holes. And now let's go ahead and make our way to the lake. So the easiest way to get to the lake is come down here to an area by field 17. And there's a small road that takes us strictly to the lake. That's just past the bottle filler. And we will be going into, as I said earlier, great detail on all of these new and changed things individually through our Hof Bergmann Explained video series. Keep an eye out on the channel all this week and maybe a little bit into next week as we cover all of these new cool little features. Down here at the lake, we got to open up our gate, and then we need to back our boat into the lake. That's right, we're going to need to drive our boat to our new fishing spot. Well, we don't want to sink our boat. Let's get our boat down about here. We're going to toggle to the boat itself, and we're going to hit Q to disconnect. And at this point, if we wanted to, we could just drive our trailer off the water, but we're just going to hop down here and jump in our boat. And now we're going to drive it as we would drive anything else over to our fishing hole. And once we get to our fishing hole, we're going to left mouse click in order to start our fishing. And now it's simply a matter of time. As with anything fishing, it's just a matter of sitting around and waiting for the fish to bite. So guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Once again, we're going to be putting out more and more videos on Hof Bergmann in our Hof Bergmann Explained series. We're going to be adding to that playlist. If you're new to the Hof Bergmann map, start with the 1.0 map tour. Then move on to the Hof Bergmann Explained videos, because they will allow you to go into a much more deeper learning experience about all of the new and interesting things that are in Hof Bergmann from version 1.0 to 1.1 to now 1.2. And until next time, happy farming.